The disappearance. It's been 20 days since my brother disappeared. The police predictably have been no help. His name is Alin. He went on a mountain expedition, a trip driven by good intentions. Work had been wearing him down, and it was beginning to take a toll on his home life. From what he told me, he'd become distant, inattentive to his wife and daughter. Things had deteriorated so badly that he would often avoid going home just to escape the constant arguments and the sound of objects breaking. He started crashing wherever he could, and I let him stay with me a few nights too. You can probably guess what happened in his absence. His wife cheated on him. Alin was shattered. He didn't know how to cope. He drowned himself in alcohol and meaningless encounters. But that wasn't the man I grew up with. Alin was always composed, disciplined, someone who measured every step he took. But even the strongest can break, and he did. He went from being a respected man to someone people would cross the street to avoid, except me. I never turned my back on him. I stood by him during his worst days, trying to guide him toward something better. One night we talked like we used to, as brothers. I tried to lift his spirits, and we reminisced about our childhood, the beatings we took from our parents when we misbehaved, the magical summers in the countryside, wandering the woods in search of the best acorns. He smiled, truly smiled, when he talked about those days. Then he looked at me, like he'd figured something out. He told me he wanted to go into the mountains alone, to escape, to cook meat over a fire, sleep to the rhythm of summer rain tapping the tent, breathe in the cold, fresh air. He believed that solitude in nature was the answer, that it could help him forget everything that had torn his life apart. I didn't think it was the safest idea, going off alone like that, but he seemed alive again, like he finally had something to look forward to, so I didn't stop him. 2 days later, he left. I wished him well and told him to take care. But the days passed and I heard nothing. No texts, no calls, not even a simple, "I'm okay." That's when I knew something was wrong. He'd only packed enough food for 3 days. I alerted the authorities, and they sent out a search team. Nothing. It was as if Alin had vanished. The police didn't close the case, but their theory was clear: suicide. I was disgusted. Another open and shut case for them, just another excuse to ignore their job. But I knew my brother. He wasn't someone who'd just give up. I reached out to his wife. No answer. I kept calling until she blocked me. Still, I couldn't let this go. He was my brother. I wouldn't accept this indifference. The search began. Every moment felt like an eternity, but I was determined to find him. So I packed a bag, extra batteries, spare phone, blanket, portable radio, flashlight, 3 days worth of food, and 4 bottles of water. I drove to the mountains about 2 hours away. I don't even remember the drive itself. My mind was running through endless scenarios of what could have happened. When I arrived, I locked my car and headed into the forest. I looked for signs, anything, but the leaves lay undisturbed like no one had ever walked there. I wandered for 2 hours, calling out, scanning every tree and bush. No Alin. As evening crept in, I made camp on a small hill. I lay under the stars, ate a sandwich, and fell asleep. Around 1 a.m., the radio crackled. A strange, garbled sound came through, jarring, unfamiliar. I changed frequencies, but it was gone. I whispered into it, "Can anyone hear me?" Silence. I tried to sleep again. At dawn, I resumed the search. Hours passed, nothing. My calls into the trees went unanswered. I kept thinking of the worst, that Alin was out there, starving, alone, or worse. He loved the idea of nature, not the reality of it. I was always the one with the survival instincts. Maybe I shouldn't have encouraged him to go, but what else could I have done? He was already broken. That hope, that dream was all he had left. That night I went to sleep early to conserve food. But at 3:33 a.m. I was jolted awake. The radio again. This time the sound was louder, more horrifying, a distorted siren that felt like it was coming from the depths of hell. My whole body tensed up. I tried to calm myself by scrolling through my phone gallery, but sleep never really came. The next day, my supplies nearly gone. I knew it was my last chance. I took a different route back to the car, hoping to stumble upon something. Anything. But the forest remained silent. Too silent. No birds, no crickets. Just a deafening void. Suddenly, I slipped down a slope, crashing into a tree. I blacked out. The radio woke me up, that same awful sound. This time it was clearer, too clear. I reached for my phone. Gone. I grabbed my flashlight and searched for it, but even my backpack seemed to have vanished. I tried calling myself with the backup phone. No ring, no sound. The silence was unreal. I could feel it. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Then I felt it. Something wet on my hand. I thought it was an insect, but no. Under the beam of my flashlight, I saw a black drop of blood trailing down my fingers. Not mine. I looked up and there he was, Alin, or what was left of him. Hanging from a tree, strung up by his own organs, only his head was recognizable. I vomited instantly, every last bit of food from the past 2 days leaving me. Then, darkness. I fainted. When I opened my eyes again, I was in my car, at the forest entrance. Everything was back in my backpack. Food, water, radio, blanket. Had I dreamt it all? Was it just exhaustion? But it had all felt too real, too real. I tried to brush it off. Just a dream, I told myself. But then I noticed something on my hand, that same black blood stain. It was real. I checked the date on my phone. It was still the first day. Not even 24 hours had passed. It was as if Alin had never existed. All traces of him seemed to vanish overnight, leaving me in a state of bewilderment and despair. How could someone so close to me just disappear? The thought gnawed at my mind, and I couldn't shake off the eerie feeling that something was terribly wrong. Panicked, I called Alin, but his number wasn't in my contacts. I checked my photo gallery. Not a single photo of him. It was like he had been erased from my life, and the realization sent chills down my spine. I tried his wife. Still blocked. My heart sank deeper into a pit of confusion and fear. Was this some kind of cruel joke, or was I losing my grip on reality? The questions swirled in my head, leaving me more desperate than ever to find answers. What the hell was going on? I rushed home. I turned the place upside down looking for proof he existed. Old photos, documents, anything, nothing. Even pictures we'd taken together, gone. I went to the police asking for his case file. They looked at me like I was insane. They had no idea who I was talking about. I needed some proof I wasn't going mad, but then another colleague, Alin, disappeared. No one knew anything about him either. It was like the world had forgotten both of them, like they never existed. At work, people look at me like I'm losing it. Maybe I am. My wife cheated on me in my own house. My mind is spiraling. I feel like I'm being erased. Then my phone rang. Yeah? Alin, it's me, Stefan. I heard what happened. If you want, come by. We can talk. Maybe have a drink. I accepted. A talk with my brother couldn't hurt. That night we laughed, we remembered our childhood, the beatings, the acorn hunts in the woods. That's when I knew what I needed, a hike into the mountains near town. Maybe that's where the answers are, or maybe it's where I'll disappear too. For more mind-bending stories, please follow, like, share, and subscribe.